When we purchased our first property in January 2010, we recruited people that we know, friends to invest. So I was fortunate that I knew some wealthy friends. Our focus was on paying monthly distributions because at that time the market was very difficult and a lot of people just really didn't know if the economy was going to continue. So I thought if we could pay distributions monthly, that's the best way of reporting. If you're only paying distributions twice a year, you've only got to have money in the bank twice a year. Beg, borrow, steal, sell some assets, whatever it is, pay twice a year. But when you have to pay every month, it instills in you a different management style. You cannot afford to have arrears when you've got to pay every month. So you actively manage your property, make sure you collect your rents. And when we look at what assets to buy, I really look at what assets are others selling. Because if you're buying what everyone else is buying, then the only way you get that asset is by being prepared to pay more than everyone else. So we look at what others don't like, whether that's a particular asset class or a location. So early days we were buying industrial when no one was buying. We got into the homemaker centres in about 2012 when most people were selling them. And it's all about, as I say to people, we'll buy any property, any day, anywhere at a price. Now that price may be $1. Everything has a value, so it's about putting a value on that asset. And as far as location, we also look for areas that aren't overly popular, because I think our investors would rather receive $3 from Mackay than 50 cents from Sydney. The average age of our investors is about 64. To invest with Sentinel, you have to meet the criteria under ASIC, so you have to have substantial wealth. So most of our investors are looking for a monthly income to live off. In running a funds management business like Sentinel, there's a lot of areas that you have to be aware of and on top of. I read, I don't know how many hours, 20, 30 hours a week information from everywhere. So while you have to buy right, you certainly have to sell right. And while normally when we're selling, our investors don't like us selling, but quite often when we buy, they don't think we should be buying those. So as I said earlier, you have to be buying when it's unpopular and selling when most other people are buying. So we've sold 37 properties for over 800 million. And we were very fortunate that the last asset we had in Victoria, we sold early last year. And I think if a lot of other funds managed to sell at the top of the market, they'd be very happy too. But also you have to reinvest those funds, which we have in northern Queensland. We now have about $500 million from Mackay North, including Darwin, and I think most people in Australia now realise that Northern Australia has an enormous future. We also have to be mindful of interest rates, and it's very easy to listen to the noise and read the newspapers, and we've had people telling us for many years, probably going back 7 years, that you need to lock in your interest rates. And we've seen most other funds did, because that's what people wanted. But being popular doesn't make you money. So we never locked in our interest rates because it was our belief that interest rates were going to continue to go down. The main reason being that if countries, America, Australia, couldn't pay back their debt when interest rates were 3 or 4 or 5%, how are they going to repay the debt when it gets to 7 or 8%? So they had to continue dropping interest rates, and that was our belief. And every year we would have our investment functions and we would get told, lock in interest rates, lock in interest rates. And we went against the tide, and we had researchers telling us it was the wrong thing. I think in hindsight those people would look that possibly we were right. So we listen to what people say, we talk to people, but at the end of the day you need to make an informed decision which is for the benefit of our investors, and we certainly have got that right.